Only in your house.
Yeah.
That's where
That's where it should be done anyway.
Last time I lived in New York, we were walking down the street at 10 a.m. and a guy
What is up, guys? It is a Wednesday night, July 9th. Hope everybody is doing well, having a great evening tonight. Wow, that is dedication. Melissa, I hope you're feeling well. I don't know why your name isn't popping up. We're still having the issue on the social thing. I'm going to try to close it out and bring it back on, but she had foot surgery and she is still here tuning in to the live show. That is dedication. Appreciate you always. I hope that you feel better soon. I know you've been dealing with pain. We were talking at 6:30 when we were tracking the storms. Elizabeth, how you doing tonight? Hope you guys are doing well. Let's see. Jody's here. CW Stidham's here. Alrighty, guys. Welcome to the live stream. Again, we're hanging out every Monday through Friday at 9:30 in the night to talk about weather and just shoot the breeze about stuff. Of course, we're going to talk about your impacts when it comes to the weather, and we are going to talk about just some of the off the beaten path kind of things. Tonight, one of the things I want to talk about, it's not really off the beaten path. We're in hurricane season, but um, Colorado State, one of the most respected seasonal forecast entities when it comes to the hurricane season, they have updated their hurricane numbers. So we're going to talk about that as well coming up a little bit later on after we get through some of the local stuff that's going on right now. So we're going to break that down. It did drop just a little bit. This is the wrong, my wrong headline. That's my headline from the other night. So we're going to talk about the local forecast there, and then we're going to get into those hurricane numbers. Again, it's to be taken with a grain of salt as always, but nonetheless, I guess it's a relatively positive thing. So first and foremost, I want to start out with is wild storms this afternoon. We broke down before that yesterday at this time that we were going to kind of get back to regularly scheduled programming for most of us. On the western side of Central Florida was on the drier side today. This was mainly for along and around I-4 and then to the east in between I-95. Right now, there is still one lone itty-bitty thunderstorm in Osceola County hanging way down here by the turnpike by North Canoe Creek Road. So if you know anybody on North Canoe Creek Road, they're certainly seeing a light show. And you might be able to see it in Kissimmee St. Cloud as well as night has fallen. So you might be able to see some of the lightning strikes. There was some craziness later on this afternoon, though. 66 mile per hour wind gust was reported at Orlando Executive Airport. We had some small hail come through as well, all less than an inch in diameter. So those severe thunderstorm warnings, they were no joke tonight. We had a nasty one near Chuliota into eastern Seminole County that dipped down into northern Orange County. And then we had the one bring some hail to Windermere later on or earlier this evening. So a lot of stuff was happening tonight. That was to be expected. Now, tomorrow, I don't think they're going to be as widespread as what they were today. We have rain chances at 40% tomorrow. There we go. This is, tomorrow already Thursday? I looked at Thursday. I'm like, wait a minute. The date is wrong in here. Okay, I think the week is flying. I don't know about you. I'd like to know if you think it is flying. Post in the comments. If you're on clickorlando.com and watching, you can do that in the chat box. If you're watching on News 6 Plus, you can also dial up the YouTube feed and then post your comments in there, and then I can see them, and then I can bring them over if I can get the social media thing to work. For whatever reason, it's just not playing ball with me tonight. And sometimes this happens, and I don't know why. It's supposed to load up your comments over, and then I can bring them in. I don't know. Don't worry, I don't have bad news about the 15th. It still looks like there's going to be storms around. It's not going to be an all-day rain, though. So that's going to be, I don't think it's going to be terrible. I don't know if that helps. Yeah, see, the one thing about the 15th is it keeps on, we're going to be in between two systems. So the modeling, and that's where it's still kind of hard to gauge about when exactly because yesterday it was showing it was going to be on the west side. I can take that out. We can actually call our first pivot. Let me get through this high resolution future radar right here first, and show you what I'm talking about. So there's 3 to 4 o'clock, and then there we go, 5 to 6 o'clock, and then we have 8 to 9 o'clock. Okay, hey, Barbie, if you're still with me in about 15 minutes, and again, it's still not bringing them up, I'm going to answer that question. There's a sound-off period of the show towards the end within the last 4 minutes. So if you can hang around maybe 15 minutes, that's what he's asking. I'm going to give you my take on that coming up if you stick with me. I want to get, real quick, since we're talking on the local forecast, I want to show the... Let me see if I have this going out as far as the 15th. This is going to be helpful. Almost was sneezing there. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. Let's see if this is going on time. So that is going to be on Tuesday. So there's Monday night. And Monday is not that bad, the 14th. And then we have Tuesday. Morning looking good, and then we fire things up. And of course, it doesn't go out far enough in terms of the time. So it does look like it's going to be later in the evening at this point, and then working from west to east. But again, yesterday it looked like it was from east to west, and that's just because the modeling can't figure out the flow. We're going to be in between two of those weather systems, so that is going to be one of the bigger things here. Okay, I have to get a break in, so I'm going to take a quick break first. I'm going to end this first round a little earlier today. I'm going to get that break in because when we come back from break, I'm going to talk about the hurricane numbers, and then we're going to get into some of the cuts, because I think it's important, of course, what's going on across the weather field, and all that stuff when it comes to forecasting and how it's impacting you. We'll talk in 1 second, actually in 3 minutes. That's whenever we'll start to talk again. I'll be right back, guys. Hang tight with me. I'll see you in about 2 minutes and 57 seconds. Alrighty, guys, we are back from the quick break. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We just talked about some of the local stuff, some of the storms we had earlier this afternoon. Now we're going to get into some of the hurricane, and we have some pretty great questions in the chat for our Sound Off segment coming up in about 10 minutes. So please stick around for that, and it has to do with some of the cuts federally when it comes to the National Weather Service and NOAA. Some great questions in the chat. We discussed that just a touch, that we're going to get into that in a few minutes. So let me get you now to just setting the stage here. The tropical outlook over the next 7 days, nothing. It is nice and quiet, just how we like it out there for sure. There is something as we get there's something as we get toward the next 10 days, there is a small signal. I'll touch on that in a little bit. It is really, really um, nothing to write home about at this point. I'm telling you, there's a chance, but there's nothing to worry about. Now, the main part of segment number 2 today, when it comes to our live show that we still need a name for, every night at 9:30, Monday through Friday. If you're tuning in on YouTube or clickorlando.com, Richard's back, Kelly's back. Hope you guys are doing well. Kevin, hope you're doing well tonight. My friend in Lakeland, Elizabeth, I think we saw Elizabeth earlier. A lot of people on tonight, and I really, really appreciate that. I do not think you guys are going to get more rain tonight, Melissa. I think you're going to be okay tonight and staying on the drier side. Okay, so back in April, here's how the seasonal outlook works. Colorado State, I know it's landlocked. It's kind of weird, and a lot of people raise their eyebrows. Okay, well, what does Colorado know about the tropics? They are one of the most landlocked states that we have, and they're mountainous, and they're not going to get a hurricane. Okay, right? They're not. However, that's where this entity, this forecast entity is, and they have a very, very great tropical meteorology program, and they put together one of the more respected seasonal outlooks when it comes to the tropics each and every year. The first one comes out in April. They issue another one in June because, of course, as you get closer to something, you get more data, you see trends a little bit better, and then they issue their third one in July. They'll have another one in August. So in April, they forecast 17 named storms, 9 hurricanes, 4 of those becoming major. Subtle change today. 16 storms are now expected from them, 8 of those becoming hurricanes, with 3 major hurricanes. Still, that would be a slightly above average season. That also does include the 3 storms that we've had, the A, B, and C, Andrea, Barry, and Chantal over the past few days. So there you go. Take that with a grain of salt. We talked about this a little bit before the break, that it only takes one, or maybe we talked about it yesterday. It only takes one. Oh, I am sure, Kelly, that there has been a year. Oh, you mean has Florida ever had a year? I'm pretty sure that Florida probably has gone years without storms. Um, I just don't know when that would be off the top of my head because I mean it's really hard for Florida not to get hit in some way or shape or fashion. As you all know, we're surrounded by water on 3 sides and all that stuff. I completely concur with Elizabeth's statement there, for sure. Um, but anyway, you take these with a grain of salt because it really doesn't forecast where. Now, Colorado State does go the extra mile and gives percentages as to where they think a higher than normal shot is. And the southeast corner of the United States is kind of under the gun for that. I don't think I have the graphic in there from the last point, but whenever, let me see if I have it in here readily available. My thought was at the beginning of the year, the Bahamas, Greater Antilles, that's really where I think as we get deep into the hurricane season again, I don't see anything brewing anytime soon, anything big, significant. And that's where, again, you can get these quick spin up storms very, very quickly, as we've seen. But nonetheless, there's really nothing, there's nothing to write home about. Okay. I don't see any significant development. So I showed you last night that the Climate Prediction Center forecast a greater than 20% chance for something to develop in the Northeast Gulf over the next 2 weeks. Let me just show you that first in case you were not here last night. So you know what I'm talking about. This is their forecast. They're forecasting something right there in that little peach color. That's what the Climate Prediction Center drew from July 16th through July 22nd in that little bubble. I'm going to show you the ensemble. I'm going to show you the ensembles and show you again that there are 10% or less of the ensembles biting on any kind of tropical development there. So the signal is so teeny tiny. And I just don't, I mean, there's going to be some dips in the jet stream that are going to help to get it going, but, or potentially get it going. But I don't see anything out of the deep tropics like riding up or anything like that. So at this point of the game, there's really nothing to be concerned about. Again, just the issue here, not issue, but the update today came out from Colorado State with the 3 storms already connected. And then there it is for the people that are just joining. Again, we have a lot more people coming in on YouTube and on clickorlando.com. So thank you again for being here. Again, to date, we have had the 3 named storms, Andrea, Barry, and Chantal. 2 of them making landfall, one in Mexico, one off the Carolina coastline, that brought a lot of flooding to the Carolinas, especially North Carolina as well. And that brings me to my next point, where got to watch about saying it's only this, it's only that. I think I went on that spiel on Monday night when we were talking about the flooding on both ends of the country. At that point, it's just important to always pay attention to impact over that time frame. Barbie says, I've been here in Central Florida for 24 years. I lived here before experiencing a hurricane that was initiated with back-to-back Charlie, Francis, and Jean. Richard says he believes 2015 Florida had no hits from a tropical storm or hurricane. And I do think, I know at least prior to Matthew as well, there was, I think, a decent lull in there. Like after 2004 and after 2005, we had the hit. Katrina hit, did the opposite of Andrew, hit us at 3 or 1, and then went up and obviously did what it did to New Orleans and stuff. I can't remember 6, but I think there was a decent period. Maybe it was just for major. I don't know, but I'm gonna look that up. But yeah, I'm sure there's been years where Florida hasn't been hit. Certainly, it's hard to believe that because the hurricane season recently has not been kind. Okay, I'm gonna take the break right now. I have to be out of here at 9:57. So that's our kind of end time here to get technical from a production standpoint here. So I'm going to get that break in right now. I have to get one in. And then on the other side of that, we're going to talk about the federal cuts. A lot of questions asked about that in the chat. If you've been curious about that, we're going to break it down coming up in about 3 minutes. Alrighty, guys, now's the time where we take the questions, especially the ones that are a little more off topic than what we had in the rundown. But we get off the rails a lot in this show, and that's why I love it so much. Again, you guys drive the car, so to speak, and we talk about a lot of different weather topics, especially. And two things that came up on the same topic here about the federal job cuts. Now, I want to kind of just set the stage on what the National Weather Service is and everything and what that means to us, because the question was on how it's going to affect the National Weather Service disseminating information to meteorologists in coastal areas. So we at News 6 make our own weather forecasts. So we get together, on each and every shift, we put our forecast together. We look at the data. We make our own weather forecast independent of the National Weather Service. Where we need NOAA and the National Weather Service is the weather data. Now, they are responsible for the warnings. Of course, the warnings that you saw pop on screen tonight while we were tracking those at 4, 5, and 6 o'clock with you, those are issued by the National Weather Service. They are there to protect life and property. With those, that's their slogan. With those life-saving warnings, we go on. We don't need those warnings to break into programming. If we see something very significant or concerning, we can jump that as well. But certainly, they are the ones that when your phone goes off, when you have your News 6 weather app, and you get those alerts, those are coming from the National Weather Service. Critically important service that they do right there. What we critically, I'm going to use that word a lot, need NOAA for is the weather data, the hurricane hunters. That's from the federal government. The weather balloon launches to collect that data to put into the forecast model so that they operate at the highest of their standards. If you're missing data, you're going to miss the likely output. So that is where it is critical. The fear is, of course, is if cuts continue, and especially where the budget cuts for next year are, it's in the research division, and especially on the hurricane side of things. Forecasts, while obviously not perfect, when you're talking about hurricanes or weather in general, and it's probably never going to be perfect because you can't sample every little space of the atmosphere. That's impossible, and that's what you would really need to do to get forecasts to be perfect. If that continues, then the advances we've made in weather detection, in weather forecasting, in knowledge of the weather will be sent back decades. And that's not hyperbole. Those are quotes from top end officials in NOAA and all of that. So they are critically important to forecasting the weather. Your weather app, now we on the News 6 app, we put in our own forecast for that. So we do go in and put in the numbers that we think are going to happen. But like if you use the Apple stock app, that's all fueled by the federal government. All of that data comes in from the federal government. I'm trying to find the other question. I think it was Jody's question about the federal government. Will the cuts to hurricane radar, will that hurt predicting how bad hurricanes are going to be? So the radar will still be there. To do that, and that's more the radar does so that we can see what's going on within the storm as they get closer to land. That's why the hurricane hunters are so critical, especially the NOAA hurricane hunters, because they have something that's called a tail Doppler radar, and that when they fly into the storm, we can see the structure of that to determine, okay, is this going to strengthen? Is it going to weaken? What does it look like? And all of that. So I don't know if that answers your question. I have faith in them that even with the cuts, that they're going to be able to um, be at their best at all times. And we will do our best, of course, to be able to navigate any kind of issues that may arise this hurricane season and beyond. I'm hopeful that things are reversed. They are our partners. I have something we call the National Weather Service chat. It's almost like AOL. It's on Slack these days, like an AI instant messenger. We have direct line with them. We talk to them. Hey, you guys seeing this? Hey, what's going on here? Hey, you're going to extend that warning. We have a critical partnership with them. We need the National Weather Service. Everybody needs NOAA and the National Weather Service, or else weather forecasting in this country is is going to go back. So I will leave it at that because I have to go. We can certainly talk about that before. Greg, I'm so sorry I did not have a chance to get to your question. And Kelly, I'm so sorry I did not have a chance to answer those questions. I am writing them down as we speak. Laws from Kelly. And then we have the high pressure and low pressure interaction. And how is the strength determined? And certainly if you're talking about real quick, if you're talking about highs and low pressure in the wintertime, the stronger it's all about the high pressure. That when you have a big difference in temperature and pressure in one spot, then you have the winds get stronger and things like that. High pressure kind of bullies the low pressure when it comes to all of the tropics. All right. I love the comment on what Nick just said. I disagree because we can see him coming for weeks, but I have to run. Got to do something in the studio at 10 o'clock. Thank you guys a ton for tuning in. We'll see you right back here, 9:30 tomorrow, and then at 11 o'clock in about an hour. Thanks so much, guys.